comments, 40k lore, and and then just like tell me what you want, like leave in the comments below type thing. And one of the, staggering number of things in the comment section was talking about Warcry, and that's what we're going to do today. So I've mentioned Warcry news like as we're reviewing like big event releases and that kind of stuff, but I haven't really done a dedicated video to tell like my thoughts on the model range, what I'm excited for, if I'm excited for it, that kind of stuff. So what I can tell you up front, spoiler alert, it is going to be on the channel, like just straight up. The models look dope, and I'm very, very excited about it. So I just want to do one more quick check. If you can hear and see me okay, let me know in the comments or the chat, and we'll get going. But yeah, so basically what's going to happen today in this video is I found a thread on Daka where someone compiled all of the Warcry information. For some reason, they like took it out of the Warhammer community page. I'm assuming they're moving those articles to a dedicated Warcry page, but I'm not sure why they had to delete them. But like, yeah, the actual word Warcry in any variant spaces and then like that doesn't bring up anything except the most recent article. But this awesome thread compiled everything that there was, and so we're just going to walk through that over on Daka and chat about it and get some feedback, what you guys would like to see. Of course, lore is going to be a thing. I'm going to tear apart each faction and break down like their motivations, where they're from, that kind of stuff. Very excited for all of that. So let's head over to the screen share here. All right, let me make sure that's working. It is, yes, I'm in the bottom right. So let me adjust my microphone here. And we're off like a herd of turtles. So we're going to start off with, we're going to go, I believe this is in pretty much chronological order here. Starting off with the stuff we saw in the teaser trailer way back in the day. I'll go upward, basically. We know that it comes with 2 factions, right? Probably the starter set. I'm not sure. I would assume with this starter set that it is temporary. I can't stress that enough, how I want you to treat it like it's temporary, because like the Kill Team 2-player set was around for quite a while in production, but it did go away eventually, and which is a shame, but whatever. So we just see some random images from that first preview, and I'm just going to go through them. We'll chat about them. This is clearly well, from what I understand, I shouldn't say clearly, none of this is clear, we don't have any details, but a set of monsters. There at least comes with 3. 1, 2, 3. They have the cornate gills, fins, whatever you want to call them, all over their heads. Obviously avian. And then this is kind of where stuff starts getting interesting. And I'll blow this up because that picture gets bigger. Bloop. My control key's not working quite well. So this image tells us quite a bit. I know this is old news for folks who have been following very intently, but this is videos for everyone who wants to get caught up because it was so requested. Yes, we have 2 factions. One is kind of a Beastman style thing. Lots of bone weapons, that kind of stuff, forged from remnants of monsters. And the other one is Iron Golems. Now what's interesting about Warcry is it's a different take on chaos. Rather than being chaos from a specific deity, which is almost exclusively what we've had from AOS so far in the last 3 years. There's the Everchosen book, but that's it. And it's a pretty sad book when you think about it compared to like how the other factions were, explained and dove into in terms of lore and that kind of stuff. But all of the warbands in here are not god specific, they are realm specific, which is interesting. It's what chaos looks like coming from various places, and I'm sure there's going to be an element of like leaning towards one of the chaos gods, but none of them are fully aligned to our knowledge. So I believe these ones are from Gur, the beast centric ones, and then from Chaman, Realm of Metal, there's the Iron Golems. And there's better pictures of all of those. We'll go through those. I'm just showing off kind of the concept, the demo art they showed us. Another thing to note here is the terrain. It's probably what I think in these set of pictures from the original preview is by far the most dominant aspect, and that is all of these little walls and gateways. It's now multi-level, but there has to be a great way to get to those multiple levels. lots of wood planks, stuff like that. It's really great because I would love it if my biggest thing with these kind of skirmish games is when it comes down to moving models upstairs. If you can have rules and bases and stuff that makes models move seamlessly from one level to the next, I'm in. I'm sold 100%. I love it. In the back, we see some flying bits, monsters. We're going to get to those in just a second. There's a new model for Furies. If you're an old Fantasy Battles player, you know that the old Fury models were ugly as sin. I hated them, but they redid them and now they're like terrifying looking. Also of note is this wicked looking bell thing, which is legit. And, you know, now that we have the Sigmar not Mausoleum, that's the graveyard, the new terrain that just came out, like with the big temple, Forbidden Power stuff, I think if they paint them closely, these will probably work. I mean, they're very modular in the same way. I'm curious if this tower, the way it's constructed, will be able to support one of the penumbral engines, because it's just, again, it's those two beams going up. If you had, if there was a split level where you could kind of like set two side by side, could you put the penumbral engine on top, make it look super cool? All that kind of stuff I think would be really, really neat. So I think, yeah, terrain really steals the show. Sorry, I minimized and everything kind of jumped around. And there's just a bunch more pictures. I'm going to walk through them here. We have more terrain. So here's the Furies I was talking about, the bird guys. Some more wooden terrain. It looks rad. It might just be a display piece, but I would love it if it was not. You know, when we saw stuff coming out for... it wasn't Kill Team. What was the one... Shadow Wars Armageddon, when they released all of the new the GW released all of the new 40k terrain that's all modular. Basically what they did for that preview, if you remember, is they had like 6 kits and then they just kit bashed them all. So when we're looking at this, don't look at it as I'm going to buy this exact structure, you know, with the head and all that stuff, but think of it as this can be made from what's coming out. It's pieces, right? Legos. So I think that's super interesting. When we saw those preview videos, there was stuff that you can't buy, but you could build. It would just cost an arm and a leg. So here we have a good close-up shot of awesome beast guy. I'll get their names right here in a second. They're all listed pretty clearly. When I get to the end of each one of these sections, I'll hop in the chat and we'll have a little conversation about what we've talked about so far. So I love this. I love anything fur related. I love painting fur. It's one of my favorite things ever. So that the bone, like serrated teeth sword over there is awesome. Here is a good close-up of the new Fury model. From what we're understanding, I think they did actually specifically call it a Fury in their original article that no longer exist for some reason. But yeah, instead of being what seems to be a horde of these annoying little models that just look ugly as sin, it's probably going to be like 3 to 5 of these bigger creatures that are more gargoyle-like, and I kind of dig it. Going up, we have more shots of the Beast Master, as I'm just going to call him. I love it. Anything, one of my favorite, I guess, tropes is now what it is putting skulls on things. Like, I love the Lord Relictor because he has the skull helm. I love Space Marine Chaplains for the same reason. They have the skull face. And so all of these models that have the option to do skull masks, I think it's just the coolest stinking thing. It just looks so primal. They got some monsters with them. Which is interesting because, pause on that note, that means the profiles can have quite a bit of diversity. If we're talking about like breaking what we're seeing as cool cinematics almost, and into game terms, right? I mean, that means there's going to be a wide array of different kinds of War Scroll equivalents. I'm sure they're going to give them some technical name that we all get mixed up, but that's what they do. And you know, it makes me excited for the variety, the sheer variety of stuff that we're probably going to be able to see. As far as how the Furies and those corn-looking turkeys that we saw first fit into things, I don't know, but I'd be interested to see if they kind of went the way of The Walking Dead. If you've ever played the actual Walking Dead miniature game, it is fascinating. and I really enjoyed the demo that I did of it. At some point, they've kind of slowed down expansion. Doesn't say I'll cover it, but I don't know. But basically, you have your warband. There's your enemy warband, like you and the player you're playing against, and then it actually has built-in mechanics for how the creatures, meaning zombies in Walking Dead, react to everything that's going on around them. They'll attack both of you, and so it's kind of this third player. And I would love it if they made rules, even if it's just the narrative section, for having the Furies and the turkey things, whatever those were, attacking you. I think that would be really rad. Noseblunt, I will talk more about the bird people. We're going in order of how they released it to us. So we're starting at the trailer, the initial one. And here is, this guy just looks baller. Put that on a men's fitness magazine. Okay, we're just going to keep going, because there's better pictures of the individual warbands, so I'm kind of skipping past those because we'll see better images. But what I will say is, this is the kind of image that is going to blow up everyone's Instagram and Facebook group, where it's just these super awesome cinematic moments of champions punching each other in the face. Very excited. And this is actually probably one of the best shots of terrain we have. Again, we're not looking at, don't look at what you actually see built, but look at the pieces that build it. And that's what I'm kind of leaning to. Like, don't look at this huge bell and all these things. If you focus on right here in this bottom left, it's just an archway. But of course, if you put all the archways together, then you can build all these things. So again, think about it in pieces. Don't think about it as the completed terrain of what you see. And that makes me excited, because these kinds of things, if you just look at this from, you know, when it comes to terrain, you got to break it down to like the actual practicality side of things as just as much as you do aesthetically. And just this huge, nice, tall archway is awesome for moving miniatures through. Just kind of eyeballing the height. You know, this guy's standing up here and there's an archway down below him. Obviously, this one's blocked up in the bottom and the other one I'm comparing it to is not. But it seems definitely tall enough for him to move through without his axe getting caught on crap. And, you know, that's the stuff where it gets really frustrating. Where a lot of terrain companies drop the ball is like, they look fantastic, but in practicality of like trying to move a unit through it, you're just like, I hate everything, as you go one guy at a time. And then they took a bunch of stills of the various warbands. Like I said, we're going to skip past them because there's better images. One thing I do want to focus on with this one is that Warcry is very interesting in the sense that it includes multiple races for chaos factions. And this is super interesting to me. For the longest time, when it comes to undead, how come only humans get raised into skeletons, right? How come there's no, I don't know, auric skeletons moving around? And there would be. There's no reason not to. And how come only humans turn to chaos? Well, Warcry is breaking that mold by saying, nope, everyone gets affected. This evil swept through. And I think that really adds a lot of gravitas to it all. And so here we have a Duwarden, the first non-good guy, pretty stark chaos guy, Duwarden, that we have. Of course, there's Legion of Asgore, but they don't have any updated lore, sadly, which is a real bummer. But I'm hoping we'll get some Chaos Dwarf action because everyone likes this guy. Beyond there, you can see the cool little bits and bobs in the terrain again. And here's another big picture. Up here's the same principle. I believe that's an ogre, all decked out in armor. And